recognize the designation of the Lone Star State's 5th National Literary Landmark, the Mansfield Public Library, and of course, and especially, to honor the work of John Howard Griffin. 2011 marks 50 years since the first publication of Griffin's book, Black Like Me. And today we celebrate his contributions to American literature, but also to the changes that have come to our country because of John Howard Griffin and others who led the civil rights movement. Griffin is best known for Black Like Me and for darkening his skin to experience the segregated South of the 1950s and 60s. The descriptions of the racism he encountered while disguised as a black man were so explosive that he and his family had to leave Texas for a time due to fear for their own safety. Through his pen, John Howard Griffin was one of the strongest white voices in the civil rights movement. Many white Americans look back on reading Black Like Me as a turning point in their own lives in recognizing how horrifying racism truly is. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "The true neighbor will risk his position, his prestige, and even his life for the welfare of others." John Howard Griffin's life was a testament to his care for others and an example of faith lived out. His radical departure from his own skin color was just one of his many adventures. From working as a medic in the French Resistance and helping smuggle Jewish children out of harm's way, to serving in the South Pacific during World War II, John Howard Griffin's life was exceptional for a man born in Dallas in 1920. I never associated Black Like Me with another book that was very popular in Midland, Texas. I was struck as a ninth grader by Black Like Me. I was struck by the idea of a man who could and would turn his skin black. But I'll have to say I was not that surprised by his findings, growing up as I did in segregated West Texas. But I never associated his book and the author, Black Like Me, to a book that was on my mother's bookshelf. In 1959, the First National Bank of Midland commissioned John Howard Griffin to write the history of West Texas. And so just like turning his skin black when he was out in Midland, he asked ranchers to put him out in the middle of their ranch with just a bedroll and some coffee so he could spend the night out there, or a couple of nights out there, and see what it was like for those very early settlers, for the Comanches that rode out on those plains when he wrote the history of my hometown. He's acknowledged in the bibliography of my book, Spoken from the Heart, and I never knew until I started working on this talk that he was also the author of Black Like Me. John Howard Griffin's contributions to both literature and to the social consciousness of Texans and Americans are something that we can all be very proud of today. We have an abundance of literary talent in Texas. Each year we celebrate that talent during the Texas Book Festival that's held in our Texas state capitol. 10 years ago, I was in Austin for the dedication of our first literary landmark, the home of William S. Porter, who we all know as O. Henry. The Menger Hotel in San Antonio is our second literary landmark, designated in 2000 because of both Teddy Roosevelt and his Rough Riders, who spent time in the Menger bar, and Oscar Wilde. Did you ever know that Oscar Wilde spent any time in Texas? And of course, O. Henry. 2 years later, I had a chance to visit Kyle, Texas, for the dedication of the third literary landmark and one of my favorite authors, the home of Catherine Ann Porter. And in 2009, I helped dedicate the fourth literary landmark, the Lorenzo de Zavala building of the Texas State Library and Archives Commission on the grounds of the Texas State Capitol. It got its literary landmark because it was the workplace of James Michener, Walter Prescott Webb, and Jackson Jackson. Today's dedication recognizes the inspiration this building and the resources it houses has provided to writers like John Howard Griffin for decades. And as a librarian, there's no greater joy for me than to help commemorate the importance of learning and literature. I commend the Friends of the Mansfield Library for your generous support. So today, as we dedicate this National Literary Landmark, we ensure that this institution continues to be a living repository for inspiration, information, education, and our beloved books. And we also recognize with great appreciation the life and writings of John Howard Griffin. Congratulations. Thank you so much, Ms. Bush.